Hello and welcome to Fight News Now Extra. I'm John Pollock. We have all of today's news for you with Robin Black joining me. We're going to discuss the latest UFC fighter suspension for pot, Michael Bisping undergoes surgery, and we have a new match order for next weekend's UFC card in Ireland. One day after the UFC announced that Norman Park and Reza Madadi would be inserted into the co-feature spot of next Saturday's card in Dublin, they have changed their minds, and now flyweights Paddy Holohan and Luis Smolka will occupy the coveted spot of fighting before the main event between Joseph Duffy and Dustin Poirier. The card will feature 11 fights in total, with Madadi and Park now fighting in the 9th fight on the card instead of 10th. Francisco Trevino just had an awful experience at UFC 192. The man was stopped by strikes from Sage Northcutt, complained about the stoppage to referee Herb Dean, then shoved Dean, was all set to put this nightmare behind him, and then, like a poof of smoke, it all came crashing down with the news that he also failed his post-fight drug test for marijuana, with 53 nanograms per milliliter in his system, above the allowable limit of 50 in the state of Texas. He's going to be fined $5,000 and suspended for 90 days. Michael Bisping was all set to go fight down under at UFC 193 next month against Robert Whittaker, but an elbow injury forced the middleweight to go down under the knife this past week. Bisping is now recovering from the surgery and doesn't have a timetable on when he will be returning to fight. Uriah Hall has stepped in to take the spot against Whittaker next month in Melbourne, Australia. Coming up next Saturday, tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Time as John Ramdeen, Robin Black, and myself will have a 1-hour pre-fight show before the main card in Dublin, Ireland, and then stay tuned to Fight Network here in Canada as we will be presenting that 4-fight main card, including our new co-feature between Paddy Holohan and Luis Smolka. I am here with Robin Black, and earth-shattering news, Robin. The UFC, they announced that Reza Madadi and Norman Park were going to be the co-feature at the Ireland card, and then they said no. No, we can't make that the second fight before the main event. We've got to make it Luis Smolka and Paddy Holohan. I want to officially abolish the term co-feature. This is not the co-feature. The poster is not going to read UFC Fight Night, Duffy versus Poirier / Smolka versus Holohan. This is the fight that happens before the main event.
Yeah.
There's one main fight. There's no co-main event. There's no co-feature. Unless it's 2 title fights, there's no co-feature.
I'm with you, and let's go a step further. There's no such thing as the main event of the prelims. Now, the people who are watching Fight Network, you guys are like the elite fight consumer. We know that because we talk about a lot of stuff that people who don't consume a lot of fighting will go, what language are those guys speaking? So we know you know what's up. We don't need to buy into promotional stuff. That's for other people. That's for people who occasionally watch fighting. That's for people who are like, yeah, maybe we'll watch fighting this weekend. Oh, the co-feature. Oh, the main event of the prelims. That ain't for you. There's no such thing.
There's the main event, and then there's the fights before the main event.
Right.
Let's just move on.
Let's
in fact move on to the co-main headline today. Francisco Trevino, the latest fighter to get popped for pot. This somewhat unfortunate for the guy that he was fighting in Texas, because had this been in Nevada or following the new WADA standard, he would have passed with flying colors. He came in 53 nanograms per milliliter, which Texas only allows 50. Nevada is at 150. Just a trial of errors for one Francisco Trevino as he looks back at UFC 192, from shoving Herb Dean, the loss to Sage Northcutt, and then he gets dinged for $5,000. 3 months is really nothing. He probably wasn't going to fight within 3 months, but $5,000 for a fighter on the undercard, that will sting a Francisco Trevino.
Yeah, hey, listen, Trevino, he seems like a bit of a dink. Like he's not right on top of it. He's not an elite guy. It doesn't matter how many fights he had on the lower levels in Mexico. I think you can tell this is not a top 50 guy. But having said that, no way this guy should be fined for that. No way this guy should be suspended. Come on, people. It's just marijuana. If you blood tested John Ramdeen half the time, he would have a higher marijuana in his bloodstream than that. Like, seriously, this is not a performance enhancer. You're not even testing for alcohol, which would be more dangerous. The argument, oh, we don't want anyone high. Go test for some alcohol then. This is ridiculous. The fact that where Trevino's at doesn't make it any dumber. Nick Diaz, we all know this is ridiculous. He did get fined $170,000. $100,000. But same thing with Trevino, man. There's no reason to fine this guy or suspend this guy.
I think that as well, just some uniformity, I think, would be helpful, where two guys can do the exact same amount, and in one state it's not a problem, and the other you're facing a fine. I think that it's easier said than done to get all these commissions to all agree to standards across the board, but I think that now if WADA is saying 150,
Exactly.
I think that should probably be the protocol for all commission
Yeah,
states.
we got a lot of problems in our culture, regardless if we're talking about fighting or politics or whatever. There's a lot of people who think that they are experts in a field without having any particular specialized knowledge in that field. And people will be like, well, it should be this. WADA are the people who day in and day out look at this stuff, and they have said this is all right. So we don't need to be making up stuff. We need to follow the experts. There is such a thing as expert. I know we all think our opinions on thing are equal, but we need to take the opinions and the facts from expertise.
A story we haven't talked about this week that has gained a ton of traction because of who it involves is Ronda Rousey and the comments made by her mother, Dr. Anne Maria DeMars, regarding Ronda's coach, Edmond Tarverdyan. She has decided to come out public and just slamming this guy. This goes beyond just, I think, a professional critique of him as a coach, and just has flat out said that if this were not a law, she would run this man over with a car.
Fortunately,
now,
it is a law. Whew.
As someone here that can speak to the dynamic of fighter and coach, what kind of issue does this create for a woman that is getting ready to fight within a month with a coach that she has had a lot of success with and is clearly at odds with the opinions of her mother?
Well, I do a podcast with David Mullins, The Mentality of Combat Sports, and I asked him about this one, his opinion. You know, how do these things, even the mentally strongest people, this kind of thing in public, whether it's the media, whether it's your family, whatever, it's got to get to you. And he goes, well, nothing changed. Nothing changed at all. She knows, she's probably known for years that her mother hates her coach, and her coach deals with her mother in certain ways. She's probably dealt with that daily and or weekly. She's dealt with it when she's got her mother on the phone. She's dealt with it when they're in the thing. The only thing that's changed is we know about it now. So she's already doing a good job of dealing with this thing. We just know about this story now, and that probably changes nothing for her. How she deals with that, I don't know, man. She's close with her mother, and the relationship you have with a coach is incredibly close. But the short answer is she's known about this for a long time. If this didn't pop up this week, this has been going on, and she's already dealing with it.
Being that this is his professional career, if you're Tarverdyan, do you respond to this, or do you just sweep it under the rug and try and move on from this story?
Yeah, he is very well advised to just sweep it under the rug. Some of the things she says are indefensible anyways. I mean, the truth is, he didn't make her a world champion. She's a world champion who was in need of a coach. If he could just invent world champions, he'd have 20 of them. He's a fantastic coach, and most importantly, he's a great fit for her. But whether her mother hates him or not is irrelevant to him, her.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. If you are in Canada, tune in Saturday night. World Series of Fighting will be airing here live on Fight Network with John Fitch and Yushin Okami, and we'll speak to you on Monday.